viewing this at home at a later time, welcome. We're going to get started here in just a few minutes. So thank you for being here. Yeah, get that nervous system going. Get that warm. It's a good one, a good simple one. Start to shift right at the beginning. I like it. All right, we have some people tuning in here. So welcome, welcome. Thanks for being here. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. Just warming up our nervous systems here, doing some hand rubs, doing some breathing, blowing out the lips. I was doing that on a walk today, and my mail lady walked by. Like, hi. She's like, hi. I'm like, yeah, I see you. I see you. Welcome, welcome. If you're logging in right now, thank you for being here. We'll start in just a couple of minutes. Welcome. Welcome those of you tuning in. I am actually going to post a poll right now because we have over 600 of you signed up and I want to hear from you. So my question to you as we log in, get situated, you do your thing, rubbing your hands together, getting your drink of choice. I've got this giant jug of water here. Whatever makes you comfortable right now. I'm going to post this question. The question is, what is the main way your body experiences stress? So I'm going to post it now. Y'all can answer as you start to log in, get comfortable. What is the main way your body experiences stress? Welcome for those of you logging in right now. We would love to hear from you. What is the main way your body experiences stress? We'd love for you to answer this as you get situated, and we're going to start our presentation here in just a couple of minutes. So welcome. Main way your body experiences stress. Is it aches and pains, anxiety and hypervigilance, sensitivities like food and chemical, other, or I just don't experience stress at all? And if that's you, I would love to hear from you, right? All right, we're going to get started here in just a couple of minutes. But as you log in, what is the main way that your body experiences stress? And it could be a couple different ways, but what is the main one? Think about that as you get situated here. We get warm up our nervous systems. So welcome to those of you joining. We're going to get started in just a minute, but we want to hear from you. What is the main way your body experiences stress? And I'm going to end this poll in just a minute as we get comfortable and situated tonight. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and end this poll because I think the results are really interesting. Oh, we have some people joining us. Y'all, do you see these results? 76% of you, anxiety and hypervigilance. Hello. Yes. Hello.
Wow.
Fight or flight. Yeah. Aches and pains, 13% sensitivities, 5%, other 4%. Yeah. Shows up. Stress shows up in our bodies in many different ways. So this is for you tonight. We're talking to you, those hypervigilant, anxious people out there. I hear you. We see you. We're talking to you. We're going to do a nervous system reset from home. So welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. All right. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. So excited that you're here. Good evening. I'm Lindsay Mitchell, and I'll be speaking with you today. I am a physician assistant and the founder of VitalSide. So on this call, we also have Dr. Katerina Sheffield. She is the founder of Westlake Chiropractics here in Austin. We're both based out of Austin, Texas. And today we're discussing how to have a nervous system reset from the safety and comfort of your own home. I think we can all use a little bit of that today, right? Those hypervigilant and anxious people out there are like, yes, let's do this. So we're going to dive into that and make sure you stay to the end of the presentation. What we're going to do is wrap up the presentation in a short technique that you can use that talks about the tools that we'll go through today. So stay till the end. So as I mentioned, I'm Lindsay. I'm here in Austin. Howdy. Thank you for being here. But I work with people all over the world, offering virtual programs to reset your nervous system. And you can find those programs on vital-side.com. And you can also find me on Instagram at myvitalside. So like I mentioned, my training is working as a physician assistant in internal medicine. And about 4 years ago, I founded VitalSide. So VitalSide is a virtual brain retraining program for people stuck in a state of chronic fight or flight, or even the freeze response. So I typically work with people who have chronic illnesses, things like chronic anxiety, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, and autoimmune conditions. But here's the thing, that used to be me. So I was diagnosed with Lyme disease, and the tools that I teach today in VitalSide are ones that helped me to make that full recovery and find relief from my persistent symptoms, those things like anxiety, pain, fatigue, the things that I suffered with every single day. So in VitalSide, we use our best resource to do this, the healing properties of our brains. So exciting. Love it. Such a passion of mine. So a fun fact about me, y'all who have worked with me before know that I'm constantly challenging my body. I'm so grateful that I'm able, right, and capable of so much. And so my party trick is that I can stand on my head for over 20 minutes. On this call, we also have Dr. Katerina Sheffield.
Hey guys. Yes, so I moved to Austin as quick as I could as well back in 1985 to attend the University of Texas College of Pharmacy. And I married a native Austinite, and we just celebrated 30 years of marriage. And obviously we stayed here. I mean, who wants to leave Austin? So anyway, after practicing 16 years as a clinical pharmacist, I decided to change professions. And I'm a lot like Lindsay. I was run over by a van when I was 5, and I had a lot of spinal pain, and I received these incredible results from upper cervical chiropractic care. And I was just like, this is how I want to help people. So yeah, I went back to school. I'm definitely a glutton for academia, but it is so worth it. I have an incredible practice here in Austin, and I do the upper cervical work, and I've added other techniques that I believe are the best that chiropractic has to offer. And definitely no old school, no twisting, no cracking, very gentle, very effective. And okay, my party trick, I can't stand on my head for 20 seconds, like much less 20 minutes. But if you party at the lake, I can wake surf for 20 minutes at a time at least. So that's my party trick. So yay, party tricks. All right. So what we're going to do in the slides, Lindsay, are they up? I can't see them, but can everybody else see them?
Yes, slides are up.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay. So what we're going to go through, this is a little summary. First, we're going to talk about the brain and body communication. And this is going to give you a lot of insight and inspiration too about whys, like why do these tools work? And so you're going to love this, especially all the why people out there. Raise your hand if you're a why person. Yay, why people.
Why person. That's me.
So, but don't worry, we're going to simplify it all, and it's going to be so great. The second thing we're going to go through is how the body responds. So this is for all you bottom line people, like 1, 2, 3, why is this? Blah, blah, blah. We love you, and we've got it condensed just for you. And then the last thing are the actionable tools. So these are going to be very practical, and they will literally reset your nervous system, and you'll understand why. So it's going to be super fun.
Awesome. So let's debunk some of the confusion around the nervous system. It's a buzzword, right? We hear it so much. The nervous system is the body's command center. It controls movement, how you interact with your environment, your personal thoughts, and even bodily processes like digestion. And what's so cool about the nervous system is that all over the body, neurons or basic brain cells exist that constantly communicate with the brain and with one another. So the two main components of the nervous system are the central and peripheral nervous systems. Your brain and spinal cord make up your central nervous system, and your brain uses your nerves to send messages to the rest of the body through the spinal cord. So then there's the peripheral nervous system, and it branches out from the spinal cord to connect to all different parts of the body. Simple, right? See how this communication between the nervous system and the body are taking place? It's not just about mental changes here. It's about the communication and the messages we're receiving from our nervous system. So for the purpose of today's presentation, I want to spend some time talking to all you fight or flighters out there, hypervigilant, anxious people. I see you. The autonomic nervous system, this is part of the nervous system that is responsible for keeping you alive. And there are branches of the autonomic nervous system, or ANS, in both the central and the peripheral nervous systems. So the ANS houses two branches that I talk about quite often, the sympathetic and parasympathetic branches. And the ANS is responsible for communicating with other parts of the body and telling them how to respond. It's responsible for the communication that happens when you walk outside and see this brown bear. When the brain perceives danger, the sympathetic response, or the fight or flight response, turns on to address the danger at hand. So imagine this 500-pound brown bear standing outside your door when you open it first thing in the morning. First of all, I'd be like, why is there a brown bear in Austin? I do not know. But the brain says danger. something is wrong and tells the body via the nervous system how to respond. So you may notice that the body responds with an increased heart rate, increased breathing rate, and even takes away blood flow to necessary parts of the body like the gut. So this is great for getting away from a bear, right? This nervous system response, this fight or flight. But maybe not this bear, because this bear is actually really cute and looks super cuddly from afar. Like I want to cuddle it. But the body knows better, right? My nervous system knows better, and it knows how to respond to danger. And so it does. So this response can show up in our lives as hypervigilance, hyper-awareness, sensitivities, and even in the form of inflammation that lasts. So through the survival response, our brains are communicating to our bodies that something's wrong. Respond. We need to run away. We need to stay and fight, or we freeze up. And our body does this in order to survive. We receive this communication to survive. So our brains in this moment, we're no longer focused on resting and digesting. We're simply trying to survive this brown bear that actually looks really sweet from afar. So think about it. What is the brown bear in your own life? Is it past trauma that you've experienced? Maybe a chronic illness that you're healing from? Maybe it's an injury that happened to you years ago and you can't quite recover from it. So for many of you, this brown bear isn't so obvious. The brown bear can come in the form of a traumatic life situation, perhaps even a global pandemic, or physical stressors like a virus or bacterial infection. So the ANS is responsible for reacting to our everyday life situations and communicating with the body, whether we're safe or not. So take a moment to think about this right now, this image on the screen. How does your body typically respond when your survival response turns on? Do you fight, flight, or freeze? So we described fight or flight in the situation with the bear, but the freeze response is also a form of survival. So freeze happens when a threat is perceived by your brain as so dangerous that there's really nothing else you can do but freeze and shrink down. So common symptoms of the freeze response are feeling exhausted, brain foggy, and totally unmotivated. So this often occurs with emotional or physical trauma, or even an overwhelming circumstance. So again, this is a survival response meant to keep you alive. And when these survival responses turn on, it's because our five senses have perceived danger and our nervous systems communicate, right? They respond. So this acute stress response starts to communicate with other parts of the body, like the pituitary glands and the adrenal glands, to release stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol that keep you hypervigilant and focused on getting away from that danger. So this is extremely important during those times where survival is our number one priority, like when early humans had to fight beasts for their dinner or get away, and during times of high stress. Hello, pandemic. So this is okay. It's okay to be prepared when faced with danger, and acute stress can be healthy. So it typically lasts a few hours to a few days, and then the nervous system begins to return to a state of balance. But being in a state of chronic survival mode can be detrimental to our health. It can show up in the form of persistent inflammation after structural issues are addressed, panic attacks, or even food sensitivities. So the incredible thing about this response, you may be sitting here thinking, okay, oh dear, the ANS, like this is crazy, right? But it's a survival response and it's meant to keep us alive. And the incredible thing is that you can shift out of it. So that's what we go through in Vital Side. And that's also what we'll be talking about later in our session. But just to mention the goal here is the growth and repair response. It's the place where we can access our natural resilience. Just like fight, flight, and freeze, the growth and repair response is a response that we can naturally get into when we perceive safety. So when you're in this response, the growth and repair response, you feel that sense of safety, ease, you feel relaxed, rested, you can learn new information, you can easily communicate and socialize with others. Your immune system starts working well and you can detox effectively. So you have an easier time digesting food. So in this state, our breathing and heart rate slows, sending blood to our organs, our appetite returns, and the digestive system starts to work optimally. Our hormones become balanced and our muscles begin to repair themselves and relax. So growth and repair, rest and digest, you've probably heard that mentioned before. So maintaining a more dominant state of growth and repair is crucial to our survival as humans. It's critical to our immune systems and for healing and to our physical and mental health. So this is a major part of achieving a nervous system reset. So I will be speaking more on this later, giving you some tools you can use today to more readily access this response.
Awesome. Oh, I just love talking about that. Beautiful job. Okay, so I'm going to tackle the central nervous system. So do you remember what Lindsay said the central nervous system is? The brain and the spinal cord. Yay. And I agree with Lindsay. It is the most incredible processing entity ever created. I mean, it is literally amazing the way we integrate and regulate information, and it allows us to interact with our environment and basically like live and move and breathe. So let's think about, where does the central nervous system live?
Okay.
And it lives inside our human frame. So you can see here, the brain is inside her skull, and then it transitions right where the C1 atlas vertebra is, by the way, my favorite bone in the body. And then that's where it turns into the spinal cord. And then it becomes it, and it lives inside the bones of the spine. And those are called vertebra. So you've got 7 in your neck, 12 in your mid back or thoracic spine, and then 5 in that low back or lumbar spine. So, and then the sacrum is at the bottom, just anchoring the entire spine. So just take a moment to look how her ear is over her shoulder, and that's over her pelvis. She's aligned with really beautiful posture. So we're going to talk about that more, but you can see literally there how much more efficient that weight bearing is, right? Mm. So this is the center frame that you live in. It's the car that carries your body. It's how you move. It's how you dance, how you play golf or sports or hug your kids. So the central nervous system is housed inside this frame, the brain and the spinal cord. So the next thing I'd like to do is to look at a very interesting quote. The doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, in diet, and in the prevention of disease. Thomas Edison, 1903. I mean, this quote fascinates me because basically he predicted the wellness movement over 100 years ago, and that is just astounding. And I believe that it is because he had this insight because he understood electrical flow. I mean, he invented the light bulb, power generators, and like a whole slew of other inventions. But electrical flow is how our nerve cells communicate from the central nervous system, from the brain to the spinal cord. It goes across that myelin that Lindsay was talking about. And then it goes out to our bodies, to our arms and our legs. And then it goes back into the spinal cord, and then back to our brain. And it's just this incredible, like beautiful symphony that it's just pretty stunning. So, sorry, I love anatomy and I just get choked up a little. I can't believe I've done this.
Oh my goodness. Total nerds here.
Oh my goodness. And then I'm also a bit of a nerd. So I want to mention that the other way that the nervous system communicates is what Lindsay mentioned about, you've heard of neurotransmitters, epinephrine, norepinephrine, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin. We've all heard of those. And that's for another talk. But I just have to pause and make sure we're saying that. So, but back to the nervous system, let's apply that concept of electrical flow to our bodies, to our frame, and to our central nervous system. So what does a fully functioning central nervous system look like? 100% brain, 100% spinal cord, 100% CNS. Does anybody recognize this guy? Superman. Christopher Reeves. Yeah. Okay. So he played Superman back from like 1978 to 1987, I believe. And so I know some of you weren't alive yet, but that's okay, because he was an epic Superman. I mean, he is demonstrating the beauty of the human frame with his excellent posture, and his brain and his spinal cord are at 100% operational. So looking very handsome. So many of you probably know or might remember that he had a tragic horse accident and it broke his neck. And so this is sad. So just be prepared. Oh, this gets me. Okay. He was 42 years old and fell off a horse, and he broke his atlas, that top bone in his neck, completely paralyzed from the neck down. So this is his beautiful brain that's functioning, like Superman beautiful. Like he died back in 2004, but he still inspires hundreds of thousands of people living with disabilities, and like still impacts those people with all of his activism, and his wife. It's so beautiful. But he lost 100% of his spinal cord function. So this is half of a central nervous system that works after his accident. And I don't know, it makes me just really deeply grateful, that we can like move our arm, like we can wiggle our toes. And I mean, we should just do that right now. Just wiggle your toes. Maybe look at your hand, how incredible it is. I mean, we can scratch an itch. Oops. We can wave hello. We can hug. I mean, it's just amazing what our bodies allow us to do, and what happens when losing 100% of the spinal cord information, what it looks like. So another interesting thought is, what do you think losing 60% of the spinal cord messages from our brain to our body looks like? Just think about it. Maybe get a picture in your head. Okay. This is what 60% loss of spinal cord function looks like. I know, right? They look like all of us. But research shows that when symptoms show up, or let me rephrase that. Symptoms show up when there is a 60% loss of spinal cord function, 60% loss of nervous system input into the body. So what does it cause? Dull, achy pain, sharp pain, throbbing pain, burning pain, traveling pain like sciatica. Who has suffered from sciatica? Decreased range of motion, trigger points in muscles, tension, and then and numbness, tingling. So, I mean, the bottom line is that pain is a way the body communicates that there's a problem. All right, so let's put it all together. So the central nervous system is the brain and spinal cord, and that's shown in the middle in the pinkish color. And that's responsible for providing information that the body needs to move and function. And it is literally the central to how the brain communicates to the body through that spinal cord. And then that incredible spinal cord branches out to the peripheral nervous system that Lindsay talked about through 31 pairs of spinal nerve roots to the left and to the right. Again, so incredible. And it runs through the spinal bones in the neck, the back, and the low back. And that's where those vertebrae come in. And this is basically what I do all day at work, is restore motion in how those spinal bones move together and then set atlases. But we're not going into that. So pain is a way the body communicates, and it's just something that we need to know. And plus all of the symptoms that Lindsay's mentioned about anxiety, and I'll show you later how this frame will exacerbate those symptoms of fatigue and anxiety. But the biggest part is like the lack of movement, the traveling pain. And then numbness, tingling, that's the last thing to show up. And that's when something's really gone wrong. But that's the central nervous system. So.
Great. Thank you. So, y'all, a lot of good information here. So how could we reset our nervous systems today? What can we do about it today? So we've learned so many good pearls of information about the nervous system. So let's talk about ways we can effectively reset our nervous systems every single day. Because if we're sitting here and we're learning this information today, chances are we have the ability to support our nervous systems in the best way we possibly can, to more readily access that growth and repair response, and also support our central nervous systems so we can positively impact our health, boost our mood, and simply feel better and show up as our best selves. So we're going to go through some basic ways on how to do this. And at the end, I'm going to tie all these three tools together and recommend one state-changing exercise that you can take and use every single day.
Okay. So the first one that we're going to start with is movement. And I'm just going to start with the practical movement tips for people at the computer, because so many people are working from home and at the computer and suffering from Zoom fatigue and computer fatigue. Yeah. So it is so important to not get stuck at your computers for hours on end. And I'm going to tell you why. Well, we already went over the why. I'm going to tell you how. So this is a really quick reset, and it's very simple. And so it's basically called T's, Y's, and I's. Like, thank you information. That's how you can remember it.
That's a good one. I like that.
So if you can stand up where you are, this is better with standing, but my cord is not very good and we can't always stand. So I'm going to demonstrate this sitting. So, so basically you're just going to put your arms out to the side, rotate those palms, open up the shoulder blades, and then you're going to just you can take a deep breath in and exhale and just bring those shoulder blades together. And so then the next one, you're just going to go down and then you're going to come up in a Y like that. And you can take a deep breath in and exhale. And then you can come down and then you can go up in an I. So just straight up, nice deep breath. Okay, what did that take us? 15 seconds? I mean, it doesn't take very long. And do you see how you feel energized, and now you know this is the why. You already learned the why. It's so flexion stimulates one part of our brain, extension and including good posture stimulates another part of our brain. And so access or doing those activities will fire different parts of your brain and wake you up. And then adding the breath, Lindsay will go into that more, but it's such an easy way. So you could repeat that times 5 if you're in a really sluggish state, or anxiety state. One thing you want to do for my anxious people, all of us, is make sure you're not shrugged. So just bring those shoulder blades down. And if you need to like shrug and then down and then bring those shoulder blades back, do you feel how you can kind of anchor them like that? Like, So, and that will reset your brain. So, anybody working in flex posture, like I have to do this because I, adjust people, flex forward. And it's basically, again, knowing how your brain is wired, that flexion versus extension. And another few tips on this is when you're working out, we all want to work our core and we do crunches and those are awesome. But what you want to do, because we're living in this state so much, you want to do twice as many extensions, and guess what they're called? They're called the Supermans. And so extensions do that twice as much as crunches, and then that'll be a really great way to support your nervous system during a workout. And then, or you could add a plank instead, and then you could do it like that. That's why planks are so good, because you stimulate both flexors and extensors. So yeah, the last thing, yoga, the picture. I mean, it's as far as movement goes, yoga is probably the best thing that's happened to America. Stretching and the meditation, moving the body is so good. I have a whole slew of yoga instructors as patients, and I just love them. I mean, they really get it, and they know how important spine care is, and they're just awesome. But the last thing I'll leave you with is don't underestimate the power of a 10-minute walk. Because sometimes we think, we've got to do 30 minutes. I mean, a 5 or 10-minute walk what I want you to modify for your brain and nervous system is have that good posture while you walk, and then swing your arms. And this will fire your nervous system and give you a quicker reset and let it be more.
2020, James Nestor released his book, Breath, the New Science of a Lost Art. So how timely, right? 2020. So let's extract some basic knowledge from this book and the power that we have to take advantage of this thing that seems so to store memories, inhaling through the nose. Seems simple, but when you start to pay attention to it, I know my husband breathes out of his mouth all the time. So you start to practice that self-awareness and start to pay attention to inhaling through the nose. So inhaling for 5 seconds and exhaling through the nose for 5 seconds. So process number 1 to slow down, and also access that growth and repair response more readily. And what you can also do is allow your belly to expand and contract with these 5-second movements. And what this does, the gut and innervates organs in between. So a quick, simple exercise to do to stimulate this is put one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart. And when you're doing this, you're breathing in through your nose for the count of 5, back down to your belly, from your heart to your belly. So my challenge to you tomorrow, schedule exercise, even while you're sitting at home on your laptop, you have that sticky note there, put a tally down on that sticky note. Maybe you did it 10 or 25 times. You're shifting your focus, focusing on your breath. And y'all, we breathe 25,000 times a day. If you simply pay attention to 5 inhales and 5 exhales 5 times, what you're doing is you're starting to shift and you're starting to put focus on communication. Great, both those things.
I love to multitask. So yeah, I love that one. And I love the sticky note. Okay, so this last one doesn't just stress your frame. It doesn't just stress your muscles and tendons and ligaments and the physical body. It's stressing your central nervous system, the brain and the spinal cord. It's an inefficient use of that to anxiety because you're using too much energy to have the bad posture. It's sort of like, have you ever been on your computer and you contribute to fatigue? So this is why posture is an integral part of my treatment plans for my patients with healthy spines and maintaining them, because it's that important. And this picture says it all. Those things. So this will be really quick. The 2 things that you can do. One of them is called EOS, and my patient made this up because it's short for ear over your shoulder. And we all need that reminder, especially people who have had spine trauma, because that spine trauma makes it harder. But our computer and our phones are definitely impacting, and we need to get that ear over the shoulder. So when you're taking that walk or when you're at your computer, it's so big. And then just get to start easy. And then the other one on that is just in line with the jaw. So electronics like phone or computer or iPads, you want it to be in line. Sorry about that. In line with the jaw. Okay. So you don't want to put it up like this where your chin is up. That's not good for your cervical spine. And this obviously is not good. And so you can get your computers and try to get your laptops and get it so it's just in line with your jaw. Super easy, and it will help you more than you know. So that's that.
All right. So it looks like we had a couple of people say that the screen has been freezing, but it's not bad enough to stop. So I'm going to keep going. Y'all let me know. I'm sorry. Thank you for hanging out here with the internet stuff. You know, it happens. We're going to go through an exercise now that includes some of the tools we just went through and includes a visualization technique. So if your computer has been freezing, if you're frustrated,